Hello everybody and welcome back to the Vindolanda excavation video blog. We have been away from this site for 2 months. We've been over at our sister site, the Roman Army Museum, helping the team of the Magna project. But we are now back into the excavation and ready for action. We have uncovered 3 buildings so far, and we've just got the beginning of building number 4. One of the 3 buildings is a traditional infantry barrack, and then we've got the food outlet that we discussed in the previous video, and we've got a very strange sort of rectangular east-west oriented barrack with nice flagged floors. And that's how we left it at the last video. Now, the team here have done a fantastic job, and we've advanced about 3 meters in the northerly direction, which is exactly what we wanted. So we've got the wall of the next building right here. It has unfortunately still been affected by our very large rubber trench, but we can clearly see the back wall now over here. So we're looking at a building roughly the same size as the one we found immediately to the south of it. We're now looking to find partition walls inside it, and as I said, unfortunately the rubber trench has really affected this area, removing quite a lot of the walls, but we do have some remains. We've got one right here, which lines up perfectly with the partition wall in the neighboring building. We are really looking forward to completely uncovering the outline of this structure before we can get onto the floors. You must know that archaeological technique involves having to define all your spaces before you start removing them. We are now on top of the Intervallum Road. The Intervallum Road is the ring road that runs all around the fort wall, and it's a beautifully paved road. It's one of the most heavily patrolled inside the fort, so in order to get in, you have to work really hard. You have to, if you're an attacker, clamber the walls, then clamber the giant clay rampart immediately beyond the walls, and then you find yourself on the Intervallum Road. Now, the Intervallum Road changes a little bit through time, and by the 4th and 5th century, we've got buildings getting put in here. So we've got the building that Eric Burley excavated in 1929, and right next to it, we've got the remains of 2 circular ovens back to back, which interact very clearly with our mysterious stone-lined pits, which we uncovered all the way before the break. Go check out our previous video to know more about that. So this is on top of the Intervallum Road, and when we remove these surfaces, we've got some really beautiful flagged floors. Right here, a beautiful surface, and here comes a little bit too beautiful flagstone surface. So have we got here an extension to our lovely building? Does the floor just splash out and there's a little veranda, a little extra bit? Well, we've only got one way to know that for certain, which is extending our excavation behind my shoulders and northerly as well, and uncover more of this surface. I want to close with something that we recently published a book about, which is the Christian occupation of Vindolanda. At the end of the life of the 3rd century infantry barrack, after it had been turned into nuclear family housing, we still have some layers of sub-Roman and post-Roman Vindolanda visible to us. We've been really puzzling ever since the excavation of the opposing quadrant about a giant apse that appeared under the grass. And we were wondering if this might just be yet another one of our apsidal churches. It's really difficult to call an apsidal building a church unless you have direct evidence of Christianity being practiced in this space. So far, all we have is the continuation of the apse under the grass and into the barrack on top of the earlier levels. But watch this space for more of this potential church for now just building with an apse in the next vlogs.
Hello everybody! After Marta gave you that lovely illuminated talk on the last 2 weeks of you excavating here, I thought why not let's talk a little bit about finds. And for today the theme is drinking. We'll be looking at a variety of beakers that are coming out from our excavations. First of all, what are beakers? Well, as we're talking about drinking, they are the necessary utensils in order to fulfill this action. And a lot of the times they would be on anybody's table really, accompanied by flagons. Now, disclaimer, this here is from our lovely reference collection. Chronologically speaking, is also a little bit far removed, about beginning of 2nd century, a lovely ring neck flagon, but it serves to understand how objects kind of interacted and they were used together. I thought the way we would be talking about this is, first of all, explore a little bit the sources of our beakers, and I'm gonna start with a lovely import first and then we'll go home. So the very first fragment right here is a lovely imported piece. You can tell by its coat, it's very shiny, very metallic. So this would have come from Central Gaul. It's a Central Gaulish black coated ware, and it has some lovely features. First of all, you can see the decoration, this sort of very fine rouletted decoration. And then you see this sort of irregularity here. When I move it, you should be able to tell the light is reflected in a weird way. That's not a mistake. That's not coincidental either. That, in fact, is a special type of decoration. It's called indented decoration. Essentially, parts of the walls of the beaker were pushed in. Now, the question is, why? First of all, it looks very interesting, but if you think about it, it comes in handy to have these sort of indentations and grab on your beaker, make sure you're keeping all the contents inside. I have another fragment of the same sort of ware, this black-coated Central Gaulish ware, and this one is the rim, as you can see. Again, it's very fine, and by its form, you can tell it had kind of a long neck, and then it would have come out a little bit bulge in the middle. Again, if you think about it, quite easy to grab by the neck and have a taste of your drink. And this is pretty much on the imported stuff. I thought let's have a look at some of the more local beakers, and we'll have a look at the famous Nin Valley color-coated beakers. Now, we'll start with two bases, this one and this one. And why did I select the two of them? Because as we can see, size difference is rather striking. So with this one, it would have been quite a serious beaker, about this tall. So honestly, you could have had quite a long session of drinking from this one. Whereas this one, it's, you know, rather small, cute. And as you can see, they're both color-coated, but compared to the previous example, we see that it's not as shiny, but rather dull. And a lot of the times that's how we can tell whether something is imported or not. The imported stuff, how people like to call it, they're rather higher quality, whereas the ones that are from here, the coat is more dull, let's say. Now, in terms of the decorations, these beakers had quite a high diversity, and we were talking earlier about rouletted decoration. So I'll take back the really fine one here, and then I'll show you this one. Rouletted decoration again, but as you can see, it's so much more prominent than the other one, and the decorations range from these to also the famous barbotine decoration, such as these two lovely fragments. Barbotine decoration is very famous as it was used to replicate hunting scenes, hence the name hunt cups, hunting cups, for these Nin Valley color-coated beakers. But looking at this one, it doesn't necessarily seem to depict a hunting scene or some sort of human figure or anything like that, but it looks more leafy, more rooty, and this seems to be a typical motif, especially in the 3rd and 4th centuries, which coincides with the times that with the chronology that we're in right now, when these berry motifs tended to be displayed on the beakers. So as you can see, there's a lot of diversity. People took drinking very seriously. They didn't use any cup for it, but rather, you know, ones that would have a certain type of decoration, certain type of form that would help them hold it together, certain size. So there's a little bit for everybody. And as you can see, we find them all here at Vindolanda.